Hello to everyone in TV land. This is Focus on Liberia online television, and you're listening to the Focus on Liberia Daily News. I am Gwendolyn Dorado, your presenter. I bring you the headlines. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Thomas Fala, has officially aligned himself with the majority bloc. Unity Party Chairman Reverend Luther Tape says the opposition Congress for Democratic Change is politically in disarray. Ministry of Agriculture launches the Seeds for Liberia project, an initiative to address Liberia's challenges in seed quality and accessibility. Away from home, several women have taken their lives in Sudan's central Gizara state after being raped by paramilitary fighters and the brutal civil war raging in the country, rights groups and activists have said. This plus more details coming up on the Daily News. Now the news in details. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Thomas Fala, has officially aligned himself with the majority bloc, and the weeks of uncertainty regarding his stance amid escalating tensions within the legislature. His decision follows growing calls for the removal of Speaker J. Fanati Kofa, with a faction of lawmakers accusing him of corruption and poor leadership. Fala, who previously distanced himself from Kofa, made a notable entrance to the joint chamber, receiving a warm welcome from his colleagues. Upon taking the stage, Fala received the authority to conduct the session from presiding officer Representative Thomas Garr. The dynamics within the legislature continue to shift as Deputy Speaker Fala's move signals a consolidation of power within the majority bloc amid ongoing scrutiny of Speaker Kofa's leadership. The situation remains fluid, with lawmakers, including senators and pro-Kofa group, closely watching the developments in the House. Unity Party Chairman Reverend Luther Tape says the opposition Congress for Democratic Change is politically in disarray, criticizing in response to CDC Chairman Janga Kowo's recent allegation that the ruling Unity Party is orchestrating Speaker Jonathan Kofa's removal. However, Chairman Tape describes Kowo's allegations as unfortunate, noting that it is laughable that members of the CDC fail to recognize that the legislature operates according to its own rules. Asked if the ruling party was not behind the removal of Speaker Kofa and it did not instruct UP lawmakers in the House to leave the majority bloc and maintain neutrality, Reverend Tape says he is aware of the Liberian Constitution and understands that the House of Representatives has its own rules governing its processes. He quickly questioned the CDC stance on accusations from the Bond County lawmaker Marvin Cole, who alleges that Deputy Speaker Fala of the CDC is the chief architect behind current plot to remove Speaker Kofa. The Ministry of Agriculture has launched the Seeds for Liberia project, a groundbreaking initiative to address Liberia's challenges in seed quality and accessibility. Officially titled Building Resilient Seed Systems for Rice, Cassava, Soybean, Coffee, and Fish, valuable chains to strengthen food and economic diversification in Liberia. The project is expected to reshape Liberia's agricultural landscape. Speaking on behalf of Agriculture Minister Dr. J. Alexander Nuta, Deputy Minister for Administration Anthony Dukley stressed the importance of the project, stating without quality seeds, the country cannot grow the crops that feed the people, support the rural communities, or diversify the economy. He explained that Seeds for Liberia would directly address Liberia's challenges, including the use of uncertified seeds, a heavy reliance on imports, and weak infrastructure for seed production. According to a press release from the ministry, the project aligns with the Liberia's National Agricultural Development Plan 2024 to 2030, prioritizing food self-sufficiency, economic growth, and rural transformation. The 4-year project funded by the European Union aims to produce 6,000 tons of certified rice seeds to reduce imports by 70% over 5 years and expand seed production for cassava, soybean, and coffee. The initiative also supports financial access and research partnerships to build a robust national agricultural capacity. Liberia Public Works Minister Roland Lafayette Giddens wore a short face on Tuesday, October 29, during a Senate hearing when he failed to address deplorable road conditions across the country and the government's effort to address conditions with a timeline immediately. Speaking during the 41st day sitting of the first session of the 55th legislature on the invitation of the August body, Minister Giddens presented to lawmakers briefing notes which failed to capture road projects within timeline. The Senate had invited him to address, among other things, the deteriorating roads to River G County, particularly the Temple-Yonken Road, which includes a damaged bridge connecting several towns and villages. Also, the briefing notes presented distributed among senators didn't include roads and projects within the ministry's budget, for which the Liberian Senate appropriated US $35 million. Providing defense, Minister Giddens apologized to the Senate and promised to embark on robust road construction in the dry season. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Justice, has filed a lawsuit against Green Park Management, a local company contracted by the former Weah administration to manage sports parks built by the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs under a special presidential project. The government is seeking to repose 5 public parks currently under the company's management, including the Unification Park, the PHP Park, the Invisible Sports Park, the Newtown Park, and the West Point Sports Park. On Tuesday, October 29, the Minister of Information, Jeremy Pia, said the action followed a GAC audit report of the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs special project, which uncovered significant issues with management arrangements for the state-owned properties and recommended that the government reclaim the parks. The GAC report indicated that the parks were verbally turned over to the Monrovia City Corporation, which then entered into a 30-year management contract with Green Park Management. Notably, the report revealed that Green Park Management was established on August 23, 2023, just a month before the October elections, and is owned by Wilfred Paul, a 60% shareholder, and Fatou Krumah, a 40% shareholder. Based on the GAC report, government has filed a lawsuit against the company to recover the properties and all funds generated under the Boakai's administration. The Ministry of Justice is representing the government in the case, aiming to return management of the parks to the Ministry of State, which will ensure proper management of public investments. The Liberian delegation at the Conference of Parties in Cali, Colombia, led by EPA Executive Director Dr. Emmanuel K. Yakbawulo, has issued a strong appeal for the operations of the Global Biodiversity Fund. Speaking during the high-level segment of the 16th meeting of the Conference of Parties to the Convention in Biological Diversity, Dr. Yakbawulo urged all nations and parties to the UN Convention on Biological Diversity to enhance international cooperation in biodiversity conservation efforts and to advocate more vigorously for the urgent implementation of the Global Biodiversity Fund. Dr. Yakpaulo emphasized that developed countries must honor their global commitments to provide financial resources and technical support to developing nations like Liberia. He highlighted that Liberia's biodiversity and natural resources are vital for the social and economic well-being of its people. He positioned Liberia's ecosystems not only as national treasures, but also a critical components of the ecological balance within the region. A former representative candidate for Mansurado County District in number 11, Dr. Thomas Nemini Toure Jr., inspired young people in Liberia to embrace business through entrepreneurship to elevate their lives and reduce poverty. Addressing over 500 youths at the Fifth University College Business and Leadership Conference, Dr. Toure charged students to embrace entrepreneurship while building resilience to elevate their lives. Speaking on the topic of the value of money, he stressed the importance of money management and its impact on personal and professional success. He made specific emphasis on financial literacy as key to money management and success. Dr. Toure, also a renowned humanitarian, was disqualified from contesting the 2023 elections by the National Elections Commission on counts of dual citizenship. The Liberia Council of Churches says it has initiated mediation efforts aimed at resolving the escalating leadership crisis within the House of Representatives. The conflict, which is disrupting legislative proceedings, involves a faction of lawmakers advocating for the removal of Speaker J. Fonati Kofa. According to a statement from the LCC, interventions began following two separate meetings held with Speaker Kofa and a group of lawmakers seeking his ouster. The Council's mediation approach seeks to address both sides' concerns while promoting accountability, transparency, and to prioritize of national interest. The LCC reported that it had listened to perspectives from both parties, with each emphasizing a commitment to governance that upholds accountability, transparency, and respect for the rule of law. In response, the Council underscored the importance of the values as the foundation for restoring order and addressing public concerns about legislative efficacy. Calling for calm among the public, the LCC emphasized its commitment to peace, national reconciliation, and adherence to the rule of law. Reverend Dr. Samuel B. Reeves, Jr., President of the LCC and Acting President of the Interreligious Council, signed the statement reiterating the Council's dedication to fostering constructive dialogue and ongoing support to resolve the crisis. Away from home, several women have taken their lives in Sudan's central Gizara state after being raped by paramilitary fighters in the brutal civil war raging in the country, rights groups and activists have said. The reports come after the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces was accused by the UN of atrocities crimes, including mass killings in the state last week. With RSF fighters continuing to advance, one rights group has told the BBC it is in contact with 6 women who are contemplating taking their own lives as they fear being sexually assaulted. But the RSF has dismissed a recent UN report blaming a rise in sexual violence on its combatants, telling the BBC the accusation were not based on evidence. The vigorous struggle for power between the army and the RSF has killed tens of thousands of people and forced more than 11 million people from their homes since the conflict began in April 2023. The head of the UN World Food Programme, Sandy McCain, visited the aid hub of Port Sudan this week and told the BBC that the country could see the world's largest ever humanitarian crisis if a ceasefire is not reached. She warned that millions of people could die from starvation. That does it for the Focus on Liberia Daily News. I do a recap of the headlines. Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Thomas Falla, has officially aligned himself with the majority bloc. Unity Party Chairman Reverend Luther Tapia says the opposition Congress for Democratic Change is politically in disarray. Ministry of Agriculture launches the Seeds for Liberia project, an initiative to address Liberia's challenges in seed quality and accessibility. Away from home, several women have taken their lives in Sudan's central Gizara state after being raped by paramilitary fighters in the brutal civil war region in the country, rights groups and activists have said. On behalf of the management and staff of Focus on Liberia, many thanks to our listeners and viewers. We urge that you keep following us and share our videos. My name is Gwendolyn Dorado. I presented.